Sidney Crosby says he's 90% recovered from January's concussions, and he believes he'll be back on the ice this season. But there's still that last 10% to go. Crosby says he won't come back unless he's 100% fit to do so. And here Crosby explains why he won't play in another NHL season until he's fully healed.
Maybe I could get by with 90%, maybe I couldn't, but I'm not going to roll the dice on that. You know, I think it's important to get back to where I need to be, and if not, we've seen it many times. You know, you'll get reoccurring issues, and I definitely want to stay away from that. So.
Doctors say they expect Crosby to return to hockey at some point. They say the prognosis is good, but they were not willing to guess when that might be. One of the key questions will be, can he even take a hit? Would they, as they put it at the time, put him in harm's way? Andrew Rodger is a hockey columnist and the NHL alumni resident writer. He joins me from Ottawa with his reaction to today's press conference. Andrew, first of all, what stood out for you during this news conference?
Hi, Carol. It's a pleasure to speak with you again.
You too.
What stood out for me, I think, was actually that clip that you just played of Sidney saying he's not going to be back until he's 100%. We're seeing more and more with the cutting-edge research that's being done on the long-term effects of concussions, of what you know, one concussion, the damage that it can do long-term, but also with multiple concussions. So it's essential that he avoids that next injury and comes back, you know, as he said, 100% and ready to play in a league like the National Hockey League.
Yeah. And the Penguins start their training on September 17th. The first game against the Vancouver Canucks on October 6th. He thinks, you know, nobody wanted to say that they didn't want to rule that out. Is it a possibility he could suit up that soon?
I'm sure, you know, it's a possibility, and every athlete wants to be there for their teammates. But I think they're being optimistic, and you know, they want to say that it's possible that he could be playing, but I would see more of a return, considering he hasn't had any of that contact yet. We'd probably be looking more into a return in November or December. They want to do this and you know, play it on the safe side.
Yeah, and playing it on the safe side means setting it up so that his teammates essentially hit him.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, he's going to get. He'll be cleared for contact in practice, and that will certainly, you know, take things up a notch. And I'm sure the doctors will be monitoring very closely to see how he reacts to that contact. And if should anything reoccur, they'll be very quick to shut him down and take all the time that's needed. Without
Crosby, what are the Penguins' prospects?
It's going to be a tougher season if they don't have Sidney for a lengthy amount of time. He's one of those, he's the elite hockey players in the world and certainly in the league. And I remember just after the Olympics in Vancouver, I was speaking with Kevin Lowe, who helped put together the roster for Team Canada. And well, the first question I asked was, you know, how relieved were you when Sidney scored in overtime? And he was quite relieved. But we went on to discuss the attitude of those elite players, the great players, and they want to be in those moments, and they can certainly change the outcome of a game in an instant. And so Pittsburgh is going to be missing that spark without Sidney Crosby in their lineup.
Let's talk about what Sidney Crosby had to say today and what's happened to him in more macro terms. Here you have one of the highest profile players in the league, some say the best player in the world, who's taken hard hits to the head, these headshots. He goes on the air today all over North America and denounces headshots and says the benefits, you know, don't outweigh the risks of keeping them in the game, get rid of them essentially. And his doctors say that they're looking at an epidemic among young hockey players, whether they're experienced or whether they're just coming up the ranks, an epidemic of head injury. What action do you think all of this together will prompt from the NHL?
Well, I think there will be some action, but it's going to take time not only to implement new strategies, but also to get it into the players' minds of what is a so-called clean hit and what is a maybe not necessarily a dirty hit, but what's a wrong hit in today's game. So I think something that really needs to be done, and something I've been speaking about for a few years now, is stiffer suspension for players that target the head, even accidentally. I think Sidney may have even pointed out today that, you know, players have to be accountable for toward their sticks. Even if you didn't mean to high stick someone, you did. It's a 2-minute penalty. So I think the new normal really needs to be double-digit suspensions, and that will begin the process of guys will maybe in that instant before they lay a hit, they'll stop and think, oops, I've got to put on the brakes here because this is just uncalled for in today's NHL.
Yeah, and more trouble than it's worth.
Exactly.
All right, hockey columnist Andrew Rodger, thanks for speaking with me once again from Ottawa. Appreciate it, Andrew.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Anytime.
Okay.